Stones are mirrors. These are the teachers that when you're sitting with a stone, with any stone, you actually begin to see yourself. And that's what they've always offered.
You're listening to the Feed Your Wild podcast, a conscious lifestyle show about all things nourishing for your body, mind, and soul. I'm Vanessa Rodriguez, and join me for candid conversations with changemakers, exploring health and wellness, food as medicine, intuition and spirituality, and nature-based practices that will transform your health and feed all parts of your wild self. Hey, welcome back to Feed Your Wild. I'm your host, Vanessa Rodriguez, functional nutritionist, Akashic soul record reader, and intuitive nourishment guide. Today, we have a beautiful guest, Sarah Thomas, who will be talking to us about stone medicine. I'm really excited about this one because over the past several years, I've noticed that more and more stones, rocks, gems have been not only catching my attention, but it feels like almost speaking to me. And there were some instances where I was even shown various pictures in my mind's eye about eating the stones, cooking with the stones, licking the stones. So perhaps this is being driven by some sort of mineral deficiency, but I really do feel that the stones carry so much. And it seems to be coming up in clients' readings as well. It almost feels as though, I don't know, the stones are getting louder and louder. So I don't know if you too are experiencing, maybe your attention is going to stones and gems. Maybe they always were. And I'm not just talking about shiny jewelry gems. I'm speaking about rocks and stones and earth and all the different ways that earth as matter may show up in this way. In this fascinating chat, we are speaking with Sarah, who is a wonderful healer and educator. I came across Sarah and their work and teachings first through a listener of the podcast. So yes, I do receive and read and listen to your suggestions and your feedback and your recommendations. And I'm so appreciative of it because I learn about so many incredible, amazing people and teachers and healers through you. So if you really want to hear your favorite healer on the podcast, then feel free to shoot over a message or an email. You can find out how to do that on the website, wildlyrooted.com/podcast. Well, a reader told me about Sarah and mentioned how brilliant they were and why she wasn't sure why Sarah wasn't on more podcasts. And then I came across Sarah in Asia Suler's program. We had Asia on the podcast a while back. I'll make sure to link back up to that one. We love Asia over here. So I started to look more into Sarah's work and oh my, they are definitely tapped into some very deep and profound wisdom. And I'm excited to share that with you today. Before we get into the interview, I did want to make a quickie announcement that we are nearing the deadline for my 90-day one-on-one Akashic Transformational Mentorship Program. So the deadline to apply, if you're interested, is Tuesday the 16th, February the 16th, Tuesday, 2021. And we have one spot left. So if you haven't heard about the program in previous episodes or on the website, this is my 90-day accelerated mentorship program for healers and helpers. This is to help you break through chronic challenges, whether that be health challenges or feeling stuck as it relates to your soul path and purpose, this private one-on-one transformational program incorporates Akashic Records. So you will be trained and learn how to access your own Akashic Records as well as the Akashic Records of others. And this also incorporates functional nutrition, habit change, intuitive coaching, customized to you. So if you feel like you've been dealing or journeying with chronic health challenges for a long time, or you're a healer and helper who knows it is time to bring the same amount of care and attention and love and energy that you give to others back to yourself, believe me, I get it. That's why I created this mentorship just for you. I would love to step in and support you along the way. We'll build a customized program for your unique body, mind, and spirit, and we'll work with the Akashic Records the entire 90 days, both on a personal level for you and as you begin to explore your own relationship with the Akashic Records. Working with the Akashic Records has truly been one of my greatest gifts in not only my personal soul work, but also my business and work as a healer. And I see how this connection, this deep personal connection and expansion of intuitive abilities with the Akashic Records has supported my clients already in their lives and their business to bring a deeper sense of clarity, alignment, and ultimately peace. If you feel called to learn more, then I highly recommend going to my website and reading up on it, wildlyrooted.com/90-day. And there you'll have most of your questions answered, and you can click the button to apply. Once you apply, I will receive and go through the application. And if it feels like a good fit, invite you to have a conversation. We'll hop on a Zoom call together, see if this is the next best step for you. Absolutely no strings attached, no obligations, but a chance to get to know each other. So again, the links are in the show notes. You can go ahead to wildlyrooted.com/90-day. I only open these up quarterly if I have space, because sometimes there is a wait list. And there is already a wait list going for this one for folks who can't quite make it this session, but who have applied and want to make sure they get in for next time. So that is a possibility. The next time I open spots to this will be in the springtime. So if you're feeling like you need the support right now at the beginning, the start of this new year, 2021, then I invite you to step in and explore working together. Okay, so let's get back to our episode with Sarah. In this fascinating chat, Sarah shares how they came to stone medicine and memories of past life connections as a healer working with stones. We touch on how stones work at the level of consciousness, immortality, and alchemy, changing our state of consciousness with imbued awakening properties. Sarah teaches how to clear and recharge your crystals with the help of Mother Earth, how to select stones for yourself, and specific examples and ways of working with stone medicine and crystals, especially for these times that are supportive for both individuals and the collective. Find out why Sarah says 2020 was the Obsidian year, the magical properties of silica, quartz, and their connection to the Akashic Records, plus Sarah's top stone recommendations for supporting low energy, high stress, and realignment of your soul path. You'll also hear about my gateway stone and love affair with certain crystals, Pearl's power to feed our wild, and so much more. If you want to go deeper with stones and their medicine, Sarah has a free gift for you. You can grab the 3 stone medicine formulas whose time has come PDF on the homepage of Sarah's website. You'll get started with formulas including pearl, kyanite, and more that are pretty juicy and easy to make. Of course, we'd love to hear back from you. If you like this episode, give us a 5-star rating and review. Shout out to me on Instagram. I'd love to hear your feedback. I'm at Wildly Rooted. I would love to hear what stones you are working with and which ones have been speaking to you lately. All right, so let's get into it. Here we go with Sarah on stone medicine. Hey, welcome back everybody to Feed Your Wild. Today we have Sarah Thomas on. Sarah is an inspired non-binary healer and educator who owns Clarity Acupuncture in Southern Appalachia and is the lead instructor and founder of the Upper Clarity School of Stone Medicine. Sarah is actually a crystal, and like most crystals, she embodies a fluid gender identity and is actually more of a they. After performing over 10,000 stone and acupuncture hybrid treatments at their Asheville clinic, the stones guided Sarah beyond the body and onto the earth. A deep remembrance occurred of the meridians of earth, the conscious grids between landforms, and beyond into the physical resurrection of the next golden age. Their current work lies in practice with stones, crystals, ceremony, and ancient knowledge to employ the network of earth and celestial energy lines, retrieve and update incoming vibrational information, and feed, awaken, and grid the power spots on the land. Sarah developed North Carolina's first studies in mineral healing program at Appalachia School of Holistic Herbalism, teaches yearly at Earth Medicine conferences across the U.S., and founded the Upper Clarity School of Stone Medicine, where stonalists from all over the world can train through a Taoist tradition. Sarah's own Tao is to resurrect the vast knowledge and uncharted potentials of healing and awakening with stones. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, Vanessa. Hey, everybody.
I love your bio because it's like you paint us such a beautiful picture already of this relationship that has been built between you and the stones. So it's not an easy feat to do that in like 3 short paragraphs. So I love that you did that. And I was really curious, before we get into like what stone medicine actually is, I'm interested in your story and like, what was that invitation to connect with the stones? Like, how did that emerge for you?
One funny thing about me is that as a kid, I played every sport. I was just out on the street in the suburbs playing with He-Man and being a nut. And I didn't have an influence in my life that took me out into nature or rock hounded with me. I didn't have anybody really open my eyes to the stones as a kid. And I was an artist. My identity was an artist. I was always drawing, and I went to school for painting. And it was actually in college that I started to cherish crystals and stones. And I realized how special they were. And right as I was about to go off to get a master's in painting, you know how like when you see on a theatrical stage, they'll take like a cane and just pull someone off the stage real fast?
Yeah.
Yeah, that happened to me in my life as an artist. I was just pulled off the stage into this. I had this huge awakening and realization of myself as a healer. And I was 4 days away from going up to Boston. I had my house all planned out. I had this group of girls that I was going to live with. And I was 4 days away from going there. And I had this night that I was up all night. And it was like I was like downloading this whole version of myself. And I realized that I was a healer. And within a couple months, I woke up the next day and I said to my housemate, I was crying and laughing at the same time. And I said, I'm going to go to acupuncture school. And within a couple months, I was in acupuncture school. And then this Taoist lineage of stone medicine, it grabbed me and touched me. And I was absolutely blown away. I was like woken up inside of something that I had already been for so long. And that's really how it started, actually. I was a little bit older than most of the people that I teach and share with. They're collecting rocks as kids, and I was just collecting like balls and hockey sticks. So sometimes it comes on late.
Yeah, it sounds like it was almost a remembering of like part of a lineage or past life. Have you received more insight into that connection for you?
Yes, it was very much that. I think it is a good example of how we have all of this inside of us, who we are from all of these timelines and all of these different space lines. Then those things get activated inside us at certain times. And I have many remembrances now of being a healer in ancient China and other places, like working with stones. I mean, I used to work with stones I used to be an apprentice gathering stones for other healers. I remember that. I remember how I would find them. I would find them by walking through creeks. So I would always go to the water. And I remember my little shoes in the creek, like my little feet, and I would sing. And that's how I would get them to like glisten and pop up. And then I would bring those crystals back to the healer. And the way someone gathers herbs for an herbalist, I would bring crystals back to the healer. And then I have other memories, like embodied visceral memories of being the healer myself, and good things coming out of that and bad things coming out that. And I can see my hands putting crystals onto the body, even into the body. So yeah, it's been a huge remembrance of who I am. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I also appreciate you sharing about, like, I guess you could call, quote, late bloomer, and how there's actually like nothing wrong with that or uncommon, because I feel the same way. Like with my work and with the Akashic Records, and we can, get into stones and Akashic Records later too. But that really was definitely bloomed later on in life. And that took some traumatic events for that to activate for myself. So I know that people listening in, it's kind of like some people are like, well, I don't have any connection to this or that. Or I'm like, I'm wanting my intuition to expand or for me to get those kinds of visions and remembrances. And I just want to kind of speak into that really important piece that you mentioned. Like there's this divine timing with certain activations, and we all have it in our bodies already, which kind of, like you were saying, us as crystals and these stones having sort of like medicine and programs already connected in with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that you are highlighting what I said, because there's almost this part of me that wants to feel shame about that I didn't have this connection since I was like 2 years old. And it's beautiful to speak. It's true that it is divine timing, and things awaken in us at 40, 50, 60, 70 years old. And it is all about that right moment when we're ready, because our consciousness is evolving all the time. It's like our consciousness has to go up level by level. And when it hits a certain level, that activation will happen inside. So it's all about that right timing.
Mm-hmm. So let's get into stone medicine. And I know that there's some folks listening who have been working with stones and crystals and all the things for a while. And then there's some folks who are total newbies, beginners. So I'd love to just maybe set a bit of a primer for everybody to get on the same page of what to you, Sarah, is stone medicine, and speak into the way that you work with stone medicine, maybe compared to like the way that we see crystals being used in kind of like more mass media now, because I feel like there's a trendiness around it too.
Yeah, absolutely. So back in the day, way, way back in the day, so the biggest body of information about individual crystals and minerals comes from ancient China. In ancient Taoist China, they were actually cataloging what all these different crystals do. So I still don't know any other tradition in the world that has ancient information about kyanite or malachite. There's a lot of traditions that use stones, and they do it a little bit differently. And we can talk about that later. I mean, all traditions work with stones. All medicine people work with stones. But the way that the Taoists did it was, it's like they created an actual library of information about each individual mineral through practice. And what you find when you go into Taoist stone medicine, or we're saying the word stone medicine, we're not saying crystal healing. What you find with stone medicine is the first thing that kind of like hits you in the face when you start learning about it is how grounded it is. It's like herbal medicine. It's like herbal medicine with stones. The first thing that you start learning about is that there's really these constituents in the stones. The chemical composition in the stones tells us exactly what the stones do. The color of the stones tell us. The crystal system tell us. There's all of these classifications, and it's like you can be an herbalist and just study it in a very grounded way. This is what the earth created. This is what a triclinic crystal system means. This is what the color blue actually does in the body. This is what iron actually does in the body. So you get hit with this really, it's so grounded, and people love that. And it blows their mind right away how grounded it is. It's like people have this like, it's common sense. Oh my gosh, it's common sense. It's common sense. And the Taoists, they use stone medicine for healing, okay? But they use plant medicine for healing even more. So plant medicine was so much for healing and longevity. Like this is what keeps you well on a day-to-day basis, keeps you feeling good. You use herbs if you get a parasite or you have a bellyache. It's really for healing and longevity to prolong your life. The stones is where it shifts over to actually being about consciousness. It was about consciousness to them. It was about immortality. It was about alchemy. So it was about changing our state and actually changing our state of consciousness. So you get all of these healing properties, but then with stones, you get these awakening properties too. So we can do anything in stone medicine from make an elixir that restores the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system and alkalizes the blood and calms the heart. But then we can look over to the other side of it and be like, holy moly, this is what this thing actually does in consciousness and alchemy. And it's this whole other world. It's this whole other realm. So I work with stones in both ways through healing and awakening.
That's really powerful, the way that you put that. It makes me think about how our relationship with the elements and the living beings, and I'm going to include like all beings that have energy that are alive, right? As sort of more of this animist lens of looking at all these things that may seemingly in the more like, westernized world not appear to be alive, actually contains so much liveliness, information, but also like relationship to us. When I think about this podcast and like rewilding, so to speak, like feeding our wild, to me, so much of the rewilding is in the unseen realms, in like the energetic connections and relationships and the things that aren't maybe quantifiable in the double-blind placebo studies. So I really appreciate this view and how you're speaking and teaching on stone medicine, but it's also very big. It's like really big. So I'm wondering for the beginner who's like, okay, this is really cool and this is piquing my interest. Like, how do I even begin to form a relationship with stones, stone medicines, crystals, and, what could that look like for me?
You are so good at containing me, Vanessa, and that is such a good question. It is absolutely about relationship. And here's one of the things that I'll tell you a couple interesting things. So I have this woman, she's 80 something years old, and she's from India, and she emails me. And I don't even know this woman, but it's like she's mentoring me, and she sends me these beautiful emails. She's a medicine woman definitely in her own right. She is my teacher. And I get these cryptic emails from her. I feel like she's sending me this information out of some temple or something. And she just wrote me yesterday, and I never know when I'm going to get one. And I just like imagine this 80-year-old Indian woman just like shooting out these little tidbits for me to understand. And she said, when you bring a crystal into your home, imagine that it is your mother and that your mother has flown from several countries away to see you. And she has had to take so many different connecting flights, and she's been up all night, and she's then finally taken the bus to your house, and she finally walks in the door and puts down her things. And treat any crystal that you bring into your home like your mother in that moment. And what she's saying is you sit it down. This is what relationship is. You sit that crystal down. You give it a beautiful place to sit. You give it a beautiful place to rest. Like, what would you do with your exhausted mother getting off a plane? You feed it. You might sprinkle some cornmeal over it. You might sit with it for a moment and ask it, what do you feel like you need? You might abhishek it, which is just like pour a little bit of water over it, like give it a little bath. You put your feet up. You might light a candle next to it. And that's relationship. It's so simple, but that's relationship. I want to give you one more because it's so easy. Think of treating your crystals like that, like just giving them a special place to be and treating them like someone that you love. Another thing that is such a sweet way to build relationship and is so simple is to learn to care for your crystals through clearing and recharging. And all that you have to do is take a crystal out onto the earth. And if you find a little place in your yard or your spot that has like some life to it, that has like a lot of greenery, like it feels like the energy's moving there, the energy's alive there, And you can place that crystal right down on the earth. And all that we have to do is ask the earth itself. So ask the consciousness of the earth, this living being, ask the earth to come up and ask the earth to help that crystal let go of anything that it's holding that's not going to serve your process going forward, that doesn't need to be in the crystal anymore. So you ask the earth to do it. And then ask the earth to then upload or add or charge, right? Charge anything into the crystal that we need for these next moments forward. And as you're sitting there making that little prayer, you don't only gain relationship with the stone, because you'll get these little messages and things, but you start to really gain relationship with the earth in a whole new way. And then you leave it there overnight. And then the next day when you come and get it, you just listen for a moment, and you can leave an offering there at the spot. And your crystal is actually cleared and recharged from the earth, like the intelligent, incredible earth, not just, some little plate sitting on your desk or something. And she actually will charge it up with actually what you need. So that's relationship too.
That's really powerful. And I think that to me, it serves as a reminder that I'm not alone. It's not just me doing things or facilitating, I need to know how to cleanse and clear in the proper way and getting all this training, It's like, how about we connect with the OGs, like Mama Earth?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who could do so much more than we could, even know how to ask for.
So much more. Well, one of the things that I'm sure that you have been speaking and teaching on a lot over this past year, but one of the things that I've been really sort of sitting with and sinking my heart into is the internal shifts that we're all, individually and collectively, being invited to allow and move through during this time. And when I say this time, I feel like in general, I feel like this is a transformative time. This is a very important, pivotal time in energetically for us, not just with what's going on with the pandemic, but I feel like with our consciousness. And so I'm curious, as someone who is very intimate with stone medicine and with the earth and who teaches on this, what are some of the ways that you see stone medicine really supporting us through these transitions? And, maybe it's the really challenging, tough transitions, but also the very much awakening transitions too.
Well, I say 2020 was an obsidian year, because obsidian is the black mirror. So when we look into obsidian, we see what has been hidden in the shadows. And not only did we see so much of what was hidden in the shadows in the external world, that is always going to perfectly mirror what is happening with us on our internal world. So we were also looking into ourselves in 2020, and that obsidian mirror was showing us inside of ourselves what is no longer in alignment, what is painful, what has to come up and be seen, and what was not the truth inside of us and on the outside. So this is going to continue. And what happens is the outer world, it's more and more deception. It's more and more smoke and mirrors. I mean, the media is more and more smoke and mirrors. It's more and more deception. And I'll tell you, humans now are realizing that they're not going to know the truth unless they find it within. And kids are realizing that, 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds are they're realizing, they're looking around, they're saying, why did my friend at school say that this politician is that, or this medicine is that, but why are you saying that, Mom? And they're realizing that all of these different streams of information are just going to be chaotic. And they're realizing that they have to find the truth within. So one of the best things about stone medicine in this time, when we are awakening to the realization that we truly must trust ourselves. We truly must trust what we know inside, because I'm telling you, what's happening on the outside, it has been smoke and mirrors for a long time. And it's going to get more oh my gosh, what I thought was real last week is not real. And we're going to have to keep seeing that. So we're going to have to keep going within. And it's such an important time to work with stones. And I'll tell you why. Stones are mirrors. These are the teachers that when you're sitting with a stone, with any stone, you actually begin to see yourself. And that's what they've always offered. My Taoist teacher says that stones, they offer the greatest neutrality of any other medicine. So If you look at plants, if you look at mushrooms, if you look at all the things out there in the wild, waters, stones offer the greatest neutrality. And what he's saying is they reflect you. Have you ever gone to a therapist or a coach or something, and when you sit down with them, that therapist just sits. I used to have this one therapist who would sit so deep in this big armchair, and she was so deep in herself, and she would just have her hands on this armchair, and she would just stare at me out of her eyes. She had so much presence, and she would barely speak. She would hardly say anything to me. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have had this experience. And without her speaking, but just being this mirror, I would just unwrap and unfold and figure all of these things out in myself because I was in the presence of this mirror. It was like she wasn't telling me her opinion or what to do. She was sitting there present, being a mirror for me. And sometimes this kind of teacher is like a hard teacher because we keep having to go back to ourselves. But this is what the stones actually give us right now. I mean, think about it. A stone just kind of sits there. It just sits there on your desk. It's like, it doesn't move like the way plants move. It doesn't change. It doesn't do anything. It sits there like that therapist, and it just reflects you. And if you give it a moment and sit and be present with it back, the inner truth starts to come out of you. It's like you end up sitting there with yourself. So it's a challenging teacher, and it's a great teacher.
I love that analogy. And yeah, I know that so many of us who've gone to therapy or have sat with any kind of healer who's like a really true healer. I think all healers are mirrors as well. Like you have to be in order to support that person to heal, because it's like an inside job for that person. So I'm curious then, like, this means that obviously, just like plant medicine, that there is an individualized approach to working with stones too. So you might want to work with a stone that's going to best support whatever you got going on. How can someone tune into which stones or crystals would be most supportive for them with whatever they got going on? Like whatever wants to be activated or whatever medicine wants to come through for them. What are some ways that you see people either utilizing or like opening up the field to allow a certain stone to come in?
Well, I'll give you two simple ways. If you resonated with that mirror piece that I was talking about, and that's very much the medicine around right now. 2020 is like having perfect vision. 2020 was like about being able to see, and the mirror is up for all of us, and it still is. So if you resonated with that, think about the stones that are mirrors. Like a piece of pyrite, you can look into a piece of pyrite and actually see your face in a pyrite crystal. A piece of mica, or a piece of lepidolite, or a piece of obsidian, or even a piece of quartz. Quartz is one of the greatest mirror stones. And if any of those stones connected with you, when I said pyrite, quartz, lepidolite, mica, obsidian, what I would do is just pick one of those that feels like it relates. So pyrite is kind of like the gold mirror. So just feel that for yourself. Obsidian is like the black mirror. Mica is like the light mirror. You have quartz, which is like the master mirror. And I would take the one that feels like that relates to you and just work with that for one moon cycle. So take it from a new moon to a new moon, or a full moon to a full moon. Carry it everywhere, look into it, bring it to your meditations. It's really just hang out with it. Do the clearings on the earth with the crystal. You can even just put it by your bedside. Stones work just sitting on your bedside. Another thing you could do, if you're like, okay, the mirror thing wasn't super exciting for me, what you can do, and people like this too, is just get a quartz kit. And a quartz kit is having a piece of rose quartz, a piece of amethyst, a piece of citrine, a piece of clear quartz, a piece of smoky quartz, and then, some of you might rutilated quartz or lithium quartz or some of the other quartz. And have this quartz kit, just these small pieces, just sitting on the windowsill in your kitchen or on your altar or even on the dashboard of your car. And somewhere where you're going to be able to go to that quartz kit. And every day you just look at it and you go, which one do I feel like I need today? And you just pick up the one that you feel that you need that day and carry it for the next 24 hours. And then go back to your quartz kit and be like, which one do I need today? And carry that for another 24 hours. And you end up learning about what this quartz kit does for you. Like, what are the days that you keep picking up this rose quartz? What are the days that you're picking up the smoky quartz? What's going on? And then you learn about, just through those 5 stones, you'll have this whole relationship with all of the quartz that's specific to you.
I'm looking at my quartz right now as you're talking about that. And I actually picked out some stones that just spoke to me. I felt it was appropriate for this interview. So I have my clear quartz in front of me. I have amethyst. I have citrine. But then I also have sunstone and bloodstone that wanted to come out today too. And I'm curious, maybe just a little bit of insight into any of those, but also quartz. I'd love to dive a little bit more into the medicine of quartz too, and anything that feels kind of pertinent for us to know, especially in this time.
Well, let's do the quartz piece, Vanessa, since you and I were talking about that beforehand.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. And the other ones, it's hard to put those aside for a moment because those are both exciting too. But with the quartz, it's really quite simple. Inside the quartz, we have the silica oxide. And the big piece about that is, what is silica? This is where it brings up a little bit of what you were seeing in the Akashics, and we were going to talk about the silica together. I had a dream one time that taught me quite a lot about silica, and I'll share it. It's a brief dream. I was sitting on this bench. It was like at a subway station or a park or something. And this man walked up to me and he sat right next to me on the bench, like really close to me, even though there was all this other space on the bench. And he was this beautiful man. He was a white man and he had like dark dreadlocks and he was like a man of the earth. And it really felt like a visitation. It wasn't a dream. It was like a visitation from this being. And he was some kind of star being or extra dimensional man. And he sat close to me and I was kind of like, why are you sitting so close to me? And he was like, well, it's because I'm here to talk to you. You know, I'm not just here to sit on this bench. I'm here to talk to you. And he said, I just have one question for you. And I said, okay. And he said, Sarah, when you play your didgeridoo, how are we all going to remember? And I looked him dead in the eye and I said, that's what silica is for. And I want to tell you why I said that. So think about the didgeridoo. I'll just like break down this dream a little bit for you. And I feel like it'll kind of shift for you, your understanding of quartz forever. But think about the didgeridoo. It's this really simple instrument, but the depth of it is so profound because of the cyclical breathing and the state that people get into when they play the didgeridoo. It's such a wonderful instrument for obviously not just notes, but the person's story to flow out on the sound. It's their story and their wisdom can flow out on that sound. And beyond that, their consciousness can actually flow out on that sound. And quartz is like sound in that not only does our wisdom, which is our stories, so my wisdom is a collection of all the stories that I have. If you want to learn from someone, if they start actually telling you their story, that's where you'll really learn. So my wisdom is my stories. And we always talk about quartz records information, right? And when we say information, that word just doesn't teach us well because yes, it stores and records information or knowledge, which is binary. It's zeros and ones. You know, knowledge is zeros and ones. It's binary. It's black or white. But it also stores our wisdom. It stores our stories. So think about being able to record on that level. And beyond that, it takes us actually all the way home. It goes beyond our wisdom and into our consciousness, which is beyond even our story. And quartz is actually, it is recording all of this and holding all of this, every part of who we are, everything that we're saying between the words, you know, all the music that's coming out of us. It's like our song is being captured in quartz, and everybody's is, because quartz can record on a multidimensional level. And the crazy thing about the quartz in this world is that it is recording all of the living beings' knowledge, wisdom, and consciousness. And not only that, it bridges all of our knowledge, wisdom, and consciousness together. It's like the great silica trees of the past. It's the trees that you saw in the movie Avatar that were, you know, the wisdom well for the entire culture, the entire community. It was like those trees held the wisdom and the consciousness that kept the fabric of oneness together for those people. And I think we used to have trees like that, actually, here in this place. And it's the quartz that's holding our true song, and we have to restore our song, and we will, and we are. And that's what awakening is we're remembering that. That's how important the quartz is. And then when you realize one step further that it's not just about this realm or this planet, but the quartz is actually bridging in all of the other timelines and all of the other space lines and all of the other dimensions, because that's something else that silica can do. It's the most fantastic, substance that we have on Earth. It's bridging in all those frequencies from all those other places. So anything external to this dimension, it works with stones to put frequency, story, wisdom, and consciousness into this dimension.
Okay, this is blowing me away a little bit, Sarah, because
because you know.
Well, and I feel like there's probably people listening there like, huh? Like, because it's so big, but there are I feel like a total yes, like a lighting up like a Christmas tree, because in working with the Akashic Records, which, by the way, the way that you speak into silica and quartz is like the embodied Akashic Records. It's like this process of recording, and not just recording. It's like this multidimensional, dynamic relationship, fluid relationship. But when I first started working with the Akashic Records, it was really fascinating because my relationship to other beings like plants, stones, animals started to shift, because I felt like the Akashic Records were opening up certain levels of consciousness for me in my relationship with them. And I was almost like awakening to the fact that, oh, here's this plant that's like alive and has information and I can plug into it, And so I started to get some downloads, but they weren't like mental downloads where I could, nowadays I feel like I receive that a little bit more with the Akashic Records, where it's like full on words, or at least it translates really quickly. But in the beginning, it was much more experiential and it was without words. So I received information about silica. Sitting out on land, I did this meditation, I opened up, and I thought that I was going to connect. I opened up the Akashic Records. I thought I was going to connect in with like the land and the plants, and it took me deep. And I went to the stones, and then the records showed me how there was this communication from the cosmos to deep earth and the stones in the earth, and how silica was a part of this. And like, of course, at the time, I had no reference for this. And so it took me years to really wrap my so-called mind around it and to understand what that could actually mean. Although I feel like I probably still can't understand with my brain, Mm-hmm. But yeah, so like what you're speaking into kind of gives a little bit more, it like gives more color to this sort of like outline illustration that I received about this connection. Could you speak maybe a little bit more into the cosmic connection? Do you have like any reference for that you could share?
I do. I have a 9-week training coming up, and on February 22nd, and this entire training, I'm just going to say this because it's 9 weeks about that question.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. We're talking about, what do stones have to do with the stars? What do stones have to do with these extra dimensional realms? Because they are the gateways to these places. And I truly think, as far as the resurrection of the new human, which is happening, I truly believe that, as we restore our original song, as we follow the river of medicine in our own life all the way back home, what we'll find is that our origins are extra dimensional. That's where our families are. So it's like the quartz takes us back there. All of the stones take us back there. That's how we remember. And as far as, all of the realms out there and all the places out there in the cosmic worlds, I'll just say one more strange thing about it. I don't think that what we're taught about the solar system and the galaxies and all that stuff, I think that we're going to find out that that's all hugely askew and distorted. But I think we're going to find out that almost everything we've taught, from history to everything, geology, science, has all been extremely distorted. That's part of our awakening. But what we know is that you can look up and see those stars, and if you just stare at them, they'll start to put information into your eyes. And so we know those cosmic realms are out there. You know, there's tons of them.
Yeah. Ever since then, I kind of, well, first of all, my view and connection and relationship to stones and the earth totally shifted. And maybe shifted is not the right word. It's like evolved, you know, it just expanded and evolved. But it made me really start to build this reverence for stones. And I haven't gone super deep into, the specifics of the medicine as I have like with plant medicine or food yet. But I feel that there's so much there for people, especially in terms of supporting very specific things that one might be going through. So I'll give you some examples maybe of what I'm hearing a lot from listeners and from clients, and maybe we can sort of, I mean, I know that it's, you know, just like plant medicine would be, you can't technically like match a stone to a person unless you like really know them, right? And that person can work with them. But I thought that maybe we could do something that's a little bit similar and grounded for people to kind of be like, okay, well, this is a starting point. Maybe I could try to connect with this stone.
Totally. That sounds great. Tangible.
Okay. Tangible. Yes. So, all right. So people calling in, listening in have mentioned, number one, low energy from, I think, like really feeling the impact of the fear vibration collectively, just so much stress that's happening, their nervous systems getting out of whack and not being able to support themselves or care for themselves in the same way. And obviously a lot of people with lack of resources or losing their jobs and things like that. So there's a lot of folks reaching out to me that are looking for support around like their nervous system, but like building up not just their energy reserves, but almost like their internal resources. Is there any, you know, I'm sure there's many different kinds of stone medicine that would be good to connect with to just start to tap into one's own internal resources like that?
Yeah, that's beautiful. You really just described the kidney, and it's the kidney where that we hold that life force, and to restore life force would bring us to these really deep stones that actually move into the kidney and move into the endocrine system, like the adrenals. I'll give you a couple fun things. So like one thing that is really restorative, and this is especially for women because it makes such an impact on the blood, and women restore their aliveness and their juiciness so much through the blood, and that is garnet. So garnet is a stone that people have been using forever, and all kinds of lands and all kind of traditions, just they would put it in their pocket. They would wear it around their waist. Women would often make like belly chains, wear it around their waist. Men would work with it as well, as far as like warrior stance and restoring strength to go back into battle. Garnet is it's a tough, strong stone. You know, it's like the Subaru of stones. If you've ever driven a Subaru, they're like really low to the ground and they hug the ground and they're super grounded and strong. That's kind of what a garnet's like. So garnet is one way to strengthen up the blood. And you know what's interesting too is people don't think of kyanite, as I am about to say, but kyanite actually enters the endocrine system and supports the kidneys and the adrenal system as well. So kyanite's a stone that people are like, I just need adrenal support and like my low back is feeling it, my low belly. That's a stone to bring in. And then one other thing about all this is anytime we stay like restore, regenerate, replenish, all these RE words, anytime you hear these RE words that are about like regeneration, those are blue stones. So blue stones do that. Like lapis lazuli is regenerative. It's a great tonic. So think blue stones too.
Oh, I love that. I was just looking at my blue stones too, and I didn't know that. So, yeah, thank you for painting that picture. And I think that kind of goes back to the beginning, what you were saying, how there's specific qualities, like depending on the color and the what it's made of, and that we can really ground that into even our organ systems. Another thing that I'm getting a lot from people too is, and I'm sure those listening in are this is gonna open up something for you, is that this is also a time where we're all reassessing all the re's, especially like in Mercury retrograde by the time this podcast is put out and published. And we're reassessing the priorities in our life, with the path that we're on. And I know a lot of people are wanting to make pivots or to, ask and answer this big question of what is it that I'm here to do in this life? Like, what is my purpose? And I need to get back on track. So what are some thoughts that you have coming up around that?
Okay. Well, I want to give you a great thing about that. And I just want to make the point again of what you said before, which is, if we see ourselves, and this is absolutely true, if we see ourselves like a completely unique frequency in the creation, completely unique, and we are a completely unique frequency in the creation. So envision yourself like that you are a crystal that is this very, very rare kind of mineral crystal that only exists one place in the entire world of creation, and that is inside you. And so just almost like see it, like, what am I, like this awesome purple pulsing stone, or am I this yellow flowing stone? So your essence is completely unique. It is a completely unique frequency. So that stone that you are, say that you decided, I feel like when I go within and I feel my essence, like I'm this green, amazing green, like bubbly stone. Well, the unique essence that you are, when I bring any other stone up to that unique essence, it's going to create its own alchemy. It's going to create its own specific frequency. So we truly have to discover, and you get this when you realize that you truly are completely unique in this creation. You realize that if I put kyanite in your hand, it's going to be different for you than it is for anybody else in the world. If I put sulfur in your hand, it's going to be different for you because it's interacting with that completely unique frequency stone inside you. Know that you are a completely unique frequency, because what that'll do is, first of all, it's true. And second of all, it completely opens up the world of curiosity again. It puts you back in this child state. Because it puts you back in the state of all the programming goes away. It's like what all the stone books said was supposed to happen when you held this stone. It's not true, because they didn't know your unique specific frequency. So realize that you can only learn this for yourself. And when that inner child comes back on and just is curious, like, well, what is going to happen when I hold calcite? What is going to happen when unique me takes an elixir of sugilite? That curiosity, that is the fertile soil for like the alchemist child in you to awaken. And that alchemist child is the magic maker. And that's the one that's going to be able to, make this formula over here, make this grid on the earth over here completely from your own inner resources and your own inner aliveness. And that's actually the medicine that works.
So beautiful.
Okay, now, can I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for letting me go on. So, the question was about, we're kind of redefining our values, like what's really important to us and what is really our purpose here, correct? Okay. Purple stones, what they do in Chinese medicine is called aligning the heart-kidney axis. So purple stones, they go into the treasure chest of your kidney, and inside your kidney, it's like, that's where your purpose is, and that's where your actual destiny is. And they kind of open that treasure chest, and then they lift all those destiny potentials up to the heart, and then they allow the heart to express those. So if we work with purple stones, we actually we reorient ourselves to like, what really is my destiny? What am I really doing here? What do I really want to authentically express when all of this other stuff is falling away? Because it's another trademark, is that we're going to just be witnessing so many things falling away in the year of the white metal ox, 2021. Yeah.
Yes.
Amethyst, purple fluorite, all the purple stones, sugilite.
Purple's my favorite color.
Really?
Yes. Like since I was legit, since as long as I can remember. But yeah, so I feel so connected in with them. I really do feel like, especially when so I just want to kind of connect this to a personal story. When my mom got sick, so my mom had breast cancer, and this was like, I think my senior year of high school when she got college when she got diagnosed. So this was quite some time ago. That was really what prompted me into the holistic healing world. And because the doctors weren't really giving us satisfactory answers to me, and me as like a researcher, I just like went into like all the weird underground forums to look for information. And I would come across information on stones, but like never really fully connected. And then I remember my mom had journeyed with breast cancer for like 6 years, and then she ended up passing, and this was in 2010. And I went into a shop where this guy was going in for a tarot reading, but it was also a stone shop. And like I would see tarot readers and psychics instead of therapists, to like process. And like mediums. And so I went into this rock shop, and the guy, the reader, was there, and he looked at me, and this was before our reading, and he was like, "Here's a stone for you. Like, you need this stone." And he never explained to me why, like I didn't ask, but it was an amethyst, and that was just the first time that I had connected in with amethyst. And I was like, and I looked at it, and I was like, oh my God, this is like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Like, so gorgeous. And since like getting it, it felt like it wasn't like oh my God, I touched it and like everything changed. But it was like the start of this relationship where I really felt like I was able to expand, my crown chakra and my intuition, and in a way where I was allowing myself to see what was already there. And kind of like what you're saying, like this, just letting go of almost like the resistance or the thoughts that things were impossible, all of that started to break down and just like melt away. And it was like what was revealed, what was always there, was this synchronicities and like the magical aspect of like energy and in our fields, and being able to consciously connect in those realms at those frequencies. So that was the beginning for me with stones. And it was such a beautiful experience, but I never fully attribute it to that because I never fully made the connection until recently. But yeah, so I appreciate you speaking into the purple stones like that too.
Wow, that was your gateway stone.
That was my gateway stone. I still have it with me, of course.
That amethyst, they really do just pop open the crown chakra. Yeah, that's amazing.
Oh my gosh. Well, there's so much more that I want to talk to you about, Sarah. Like, we didn't even talk about the grids or grid work, which is something that I am so fascinated by. So we'll have to have you on again on the podcast
that would
if
be
you're
fun.
Interested. Yay. Okay, great. But I'd love to close in on our conversation with how people can connect with you. You had mentioned the program that you're going to open doors to. So would you be able to speak a little bit more into that and the best way for people to find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're right on time, really, for this program that I offer. Just one time a year, we go through this 9-week ceremonial progression with stone medicine, and I call it Temple of Stone. And you learn 27 stones according to these ancient Taoist texts. So it's a full materia medica class. But we really explore stones and their relationship to the light or the celestial realms. And even though it sounds like you have to be advanced or have some kind of preliminary knowledge, you absolutely don't. People from all kinds of backgrounds join this because it's really about just stepping into your own curiosity with yourself and kind of being an apprentice with yourself, really. So that starts on February 22nd, and we only do it one time a year. So it's a good time to check out if you feel like it's right for you. And you can find any of that at my website, upperclarity.com.
Beautiful. And Sarah, we cannot let you go without asking you our final question, which is, what is feeding your wild, whether that's body, mind, soul right now?
You know, what's feeding my relationship with my wild right now is my relationship with the pearl. Pearls bring in a lot of synchronization with nature. And I mean, they update me, and I know they do for other people too, and consciousness around synchronization with what's wild inside us. And so I've been working with that a lot lately. And I actually put pearl powder in my coffee in the morning, but mostly I work with it in frequency. You know, mostly I talk to it like a being and it talks to me. And pearl has a lot to share right now for anybody who wants to synchronize with the wild.
I love it. And me as a Cancer and like connecting with pearl and like the ocean, you know, it's just really missing that energy too. You're reminding me to connect back into pearl.
Sweet.
So I love it because that was another question that I didn't get to ask you is, what stone are you working with right now? So 2 in 1. Amazing. Well, I highly recommend everyone to check out your work. And again, we'd love to have you back on the podcast to talk about more of the work that you're doing around the world and with these earth grids, which sound really amazing. So thank you so much, Sarah, for your wisdom, and can't wait for our next conversation.
Thank you, Vanessa, so much. It was an honor to be here. Thanks.
Hey there, I made something for you. One of the biggest challenges that I hear from people is that they are feeling stuck when it comes to their health. You're a smart, capable, and creative change maker, right? And you know what you should be doing for your health. So what gives? Well, it's not about willpower. And I wanted to create something that would help you to unlearn the things that are keeping you stuck so that you can get out of your own way and master the mindset of health. That's why I created Wildly Unstuck, where you'll learn the top 5 things that I have found to sabotage your health goals and what to do about them. You'll learn what it really takes to become committed and unstoppable when it comes to your health goals and find the clarity you've been looking for so you know exactly what to do to get back into alignment. And I made it totally free. So if this is something that you want to dive into and create a vision and soul goals for your health and your life and bring your gifts to the world, because we know that we need it, then I invite you to join us in Wildly Unstuck. You can find that at wildlyrooted.com/unstuck. I'll see you on the other side.